Because let me tell you, and I'm not going to get political, but these fucking government fucking hate government and politicians. They do absolutely nothing for the youth.
Why? Because crime is a business. They profit off it.
Yeah, of course they do.
We always have money to send our kids to jail and to keep them there for a life sentence, but we can't build youth clubs. Good evening, welcome to the D-Wing podcast. Don't forget, it's not a podcast, it's a journey. And here we have tonight this man, Mr. Robert Rimmer Senior. Hello.
Thank you, thanks Daryl, thanks for having me, mate. Thank you very much. And it's
pleasure.
It's great to be in a podcast at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? In Manchester, talking with Manchester people, it's great, isn't it?
Real
you know
Manchester.
Real Manchester people, yeah.
That's what we like. Yeah. We like to get legends on there. We only get legends on there. And you know what? A lot of people go for famous people. A lot of people go for criminals, ex-criminals. But I go for people who inspire me. So you're a big inspiration to me.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
So where did it all start for you, Bob?
Well, I was born in Beswick, 1959. I lived on Bell Street in Beswick first, and then we moved over to Jansen Street. And then I walked into Hardwick Lads when I was 9, and found something. You know, it's kind of a bit hard to explain. I found a lot of love in that gym. You know, Mr. Hayes was like a second father to us, and Henry Finney, who's still alive now. You know, it was a real family atmosphere. You know, everyone looked out for each other. And I think, you know, that's where your loyalty came from at an early age, by being in great boxing gyms and learning to be nice and learning to be okay with people and
disciplined.
Learning to be respectful and disciplined, you know what I mean? And, you know, we all grew up with a story, didn't we? You know, none of us had, you know, a lot, did we?
None of us had a lot.
No.
Sure did. But did you have siblings, brothers and sisters?
Yeah, but I've got 4 brothers, no sisters. My youngest brother Paul recently passed.
Sorry to hear that.
Passed away. He struggled with drugs all his life, you know, from an early age, like from 16, 17. And then he died last year, you know what I mean? So it was another big blow, because he was, even though he was troubled and, you know, struggled with drugs and stuff, he always went to work.
It's still a human, isn't it?
Yeah, he went. He was a car sprayer, and he still went to work. And he got cancer and stuff, and in the end, it all got on top of him and killed him. Like, you know what I mean? So
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but it's where we come from, isn't it? You know, it's life, and it
is life. You know, your brothers, which one were you? Was you the oldest?
I'm the oldest, yeah.
Big Rob.
Yeah,
Big Bob.
Well, you know,
did you get on as kids?
Yeah, we got on great. You know, we all of us, we all boxed. We all boxed, you know, all trained and all boxed, like, you know what I mean? But, you know, I mean, I don't think they'll mind me saying that I was the best out of them all.
Was you the better looking one as well?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
All right, then moving on. When did you start your amateur career?
Well, I started at Hardwick Lads, boxing at Hardwick Lads, like I just said, and I went through amateurs at Hardwick Lads, and then I moved from Hardwick Lads over to Gus Demi's gym, training with Carl Bailey and Steve Coleman. Carl Bailey was a good pro, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was before my time.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and bring it all up. I'll bring it all up to speed with it. So we went over to Demi's gym, and we was trained by Kenny Daniels, who sadly passed away during COVID from Ashton. And we was managed by the late, great Nat Basso.
Still,
let me tell you, lads, characters. You know, these are all characters out of the boxing game that you're never going to replace. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, did you have any meetings or any dealings with Phil Martin?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I knew Phil, and you know, even though I didn't box at the champs camp, you know, I knew Phil. We all remember this, though, Daryl. In them old days, we was all at boxing gyms. So we all knew each other. You know, we knew all the lads from Moss Island, we knew all the lads from Cheetham Hill, and we all used to get on in them days. you know, because we was all boxing, and as being a boxer, you could kind of go anywhere and everybody knew you.
Yeah.
And you had that little bit of respect.
Yeah. I mentioned Phil Martin, the late great Phil Martin, because he was my next door neighbour.
Yeah. Well, he wrote the book on Manchester boxing, didn't he?
Yeah, and I used to box before it was at the Champs Camp, when it was on the corner of Princess and Clement Road.
Yeah.
Above.
Yeah.
Lipton's.
Yeah. Well, Phil was a lot of the stuff now that Manchester boxing's about. Phil invented it. Phil invented the bar, you know, the lads jump over. Yeah. He invented that bar. He invented the body belt, what we use today.
Yeah.
You know, Phil Martin was, without Phil Martin, the Manchester boxing wouldn't have been where it was.
Yeah. All right then. Here's a bit of a personal question.
Yeah.
How do you rate Mario Culpepper?
He was good fighters, wasn't they?
He was
undefeated. He was an undefeated fighter. Listen, if you're an undefeated fighter, you can fucking fight a bit.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. You know,
I myself think he's the best boxer to ever come out of Manchester.
But what Mario did, he kind of stopped, didn't he?
Yeah.
So in boxing, I'm only talking about boxing, he never reached his full potential. So you'll never know.
Yeah.
You know, but for what he did,
he was special, wasn't he?
Yeah, in that short time, he was fleet-footed. He could box, couldn't he? Do you know what I mean? And he could whack a bit. So, you know, he was like one of the ones that got away.
Yeah.
You know, where would he have gone?
Going back to school, did you attend school or not?
Yeah. Well, we had to attend school. You never got fucking fed, did you? You know, if you was on school dinners, I mean, in our house, there was 5 kids and my mum and dad, and we lived in Beswick in a 2 up and 2 down. There was never, and I'm not saying we was not looked after, because we was. My mum and dad was fucking great for what we had, but there was never like loads of food in the cupboards and all that. It was, your tea was made. You know, if you didn't go to school in the day, there was fuck all in the house to eat.
Yeah.
You know, you had to go to school and get your free dinner. You got free. We was one of them poor families who got free dinners.
I was one of them as well. I was one of them as well. A dinner ticket.
Yeah, we had dinner tickets
like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What school did you go?
I went to Wright Robinson.
And then years later, you lived near Wright Robbie, didn't you?
Yeah, I moved on to Abbey Lane. Yeah, and we got the pub, the Prince of Wales. We bought the pub, the Prince of Wales, and all the boxes. Matthew Macklin, Paul Smith, Ricky Hatton, Michael Gomez, they've all lived in that pub.
But
they all lived in that pub when it was at the height of Ricky's career and stuff. They've all lived at that pub. We all used to drink in that pub after the fight. And that, you know
so would you say Ricky was the best you trained?
Well, Ricky Hatton, I was the assistant coach for Ricky. Billy Graham was Ricky's trainer. So I was the assistant coach. So I was learning the job then. You know, and Ricky, I went right in at the top level. You know, I went from working in the gym with Ricky and giving drinks of water out to doing the corner with Ricky Hatton. So I went straight in at the top level. But I was the assistant coach, so I used to train all the other boxers around Rick. So Billy Graham could have
concentrate on
Rick. So I did the body belt with all the other lads like Michael Gomez and Macklin and Paul Smith, Matthew Hatton, you know, Patrick J. Maxwell, Anthony Farnell, you know, all them kind of lads that was in there. I used to do the body belt with them, Steve Foster Jr.
Yeah, I remember Steve Foster Senior.
He could fucking have a fight, couldn't he?
Yeah. So who's the most successful boxer you've trained?
For myself, Brian Rose.
I don't mean money-wise.
No, Brian Rose, obviously Brian, because when you think what Brian's won, he's won the Central Area title, the English title, the British title, and he defended it 3 times. So he fought for it, and he defended it 3 times in the year, so he won it outright. And then he boxed for the WBO Intercontinental title. And then he boxed an eliminator to fight for the world title. So he beat Javier Maciel to fight for the world title. Then we went to America and fought Demetrius Andrade, which we fell short. Now, Demetrius Andrade was a super champion, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he was a little bit different, Demetrius Andrade. So for me personally, who have I trained? It's obviously Brian Rolls.
Yeah. Going back to training, you are training the big guy, Mr. Rampage Jackson.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit how you chance meeting come along.
Well, what happened was when I had the gym in Denton, above Better Bodies, at the side of Better Bodies, I got a phone call one day, and I was mad busy. I had Brian Rose, Jack Armfield, Jack Massey. You know, I had a good team of fighters, and I was really, really busy with them. And I got this phone call, and this bloke asked me would any chance I could have a look at one of his fighters to train him. So I said, right, who is it? And he went, Rampage Jackson. So I looked on Google, and it come up that he was in the A team. And I thought, fuck that. I'm not training an actor. You know what I mean? It's not going to be serious. You know what I mean? Anyway, then I looked a bit further and I saw that he was a UFC fighter. Now, what you got to remember, Darryl, I didn't know one thing about cage fighting or UFC fighting. I still don't now. I'm only the striking coach. I have nothing to do with wrestling, kickboxing and all that. So I didn't know anything about it. You know what I mean? So I said, when I seen him knocking people out and stuff like that, it excites you, doesn't it? And I thought, well, yeah, I can, bring him down. Let's have a chat with him and let's see what he wants to do. So unbeknownst to me, they brought him straight from the airport. Now I'm in the ring with all the lads, training them and doing the body belt and all that. And then in walks Rampage Jackson and his manager and somebody else, and they just sit at the side of the ring. So I've finished training Brian, I took the body belt off and I'm dripping with sweat. So I've sat down on the edge of the ring and I'm looking at Rampage like this and I went, "Hiya mate, pleased to meet you." I went, and then all of a sudden I'm talking to him and he went, and fell asleep. And I looked round like, and I thought, are they taking a fucking piss? I mean, he actually just fucking fell asleep while I was talking to him. I thought, what are they fucking doing? I mean, unbeknownst to me, they just brought him straight from the airport. You know what I mean? He just got off the flight. So I started working with him, started training with him. And
did you wake him up first before you started working with him?
I think I stopped talking. I just went like, and they went, "Oh, we just got off the flight and all that." So all of a sudden, I've ended up training him, and you couldn't meet a nicer fella.
Yeah, you've got a close bond.
Yeah, you couldn't meet a nicer.
I seen he done you a little birthday party, didn't he?
Yeah,
surprise birthday party. That was a nice touch.
At the Jackson house where Bear, who runs the other Jackson podcast, that's where Bear's unit is. That's where he does all his merchandising and all that kind of stuff. So there was a fucking mariachi band and all that, wasn't there, when I walked in, and like I was like gobsmacked, you know what I mean? He's a great, absolute great fella. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're training him now for a fight over in the Middle East.
Yeah, we were supposed to be going on June the 8th to Qatar, Doha. He's fighting in Doha on June the 8th. So what we should have done, me and Brian should have flew to Qatar for the press conference a couple of weeks ago. And then we from there we was going to fly back to LA and all train together in California and then go back for the fight and then we'd come home. But they had to cancel the press conference because it was right in the middle of Ramadan.
Yeah.
So they don't have any fireworks.
It's only right, though.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about it, like, you know what I mean? But so the press conference is now going to be between the 16th and the 24th. So that's when we'll go over there, and then from there we'll go back to California.
Yeah, how's Brian getting on in his?
He's good. He's doing good. Yeah. You'll have to get him on.
You know what? You know where I met Brian? You'll never believe it. In a food shop.
He told me. Darryl, he told me today.
I'm telling him about the chicken burgers.
Yeah. You know what he told me today, Brian? He said, I met Darryl in in the thing. I went, was you training? He went, why? I went, was you cheating on your fucking diet again? So it's obviously been where yeah, what's he doing in Charlton? You know what I mean? Hey.
It was mad. It was mad because I've seen him on the TV, and I've seen him on the internet, and I've seen him on Instagram and all that. And then,
and then
you all right, mate?
Yeah.
And like,
I'd like to know what he was doing getting a chicken burger
what's
when he's
nice
supposed
in
to
there?
be fighting.
That's a chicken burger, isn't it?
What was he doing in Charlton? Camp?
What would you have been doing down there?
No idea.
Escaping from you.
I'll find out, mate, tonight when I see him.
So what does the future hold?
Well, I'm. You know, honestly, I've got a great life. You know, my life's great. I'm going. You know, I go from Blackpool to California to Manchester, and I'm training lads in Blackpool, and I'm training Rampage in California, and Brian's got another fight. So nothing changes for me now. It's great, isn't it? When you get like Nick close to being an old age pensioner, nothing kind of changes, does it? You know what I mean? So I'm racing my pigeons, racing my pigeons, and training Brian, and I'll obviously soon be training Rampage. But I train other lads in the gym as well. Like,
I see you do a lot of work, you and Brian, with the kids, which take my hat off too.
And I've just finished. I've been working as a residential care worker as well, looking after kids.
Check you out.
Yeah, so
a man with many talents.
So I've been putting a little bit back in.
That's good. Can you tell me a bit about your pigeons and Mr. Tyson? I believe you know Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Well, so over in Las Vegas. I sound like I'm a name dropper now, but I'm not.
No, I mentioned it.
So over in Las Vegas, Chris Angel, who's probably the world's #1 illusionist, he does a podcast. And Rampage does the podcast, has been doing the podcast with him. I think it's called Talking Junkies. So Chris Angel's got this big studio where you do the podcast and all that. And he has all, obviously, guests coming in, you know what I mean? So Mike Tyson was in there. He was coming for a guest, and I thought, right, okay. Because I met him over in Saudi when we was watching the Tyson Fury fight. Me and Rampage was over there. They flew us from LA over to Saudi to watch the fight. And I spoke to him briefly for a little minute, but then when he was on the Chris Angel podcast, I started talking about pigeons, and we started talking about pigeons, and they had to say to us, hey, listen, we need to start this podcast now. Because no matter who you are or where you're from, if you're a pigeon man and you start talking about pigeon, everything else goes out the window. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that's why Rampage fell asleep?
No, I wasn't talking about pigeons then. I was on about boxing. I was on about boxing with Rampage.
What's your view on boxing in England at the moment?
I think because Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren are now friends. Let's say the business friends. Fights are getting made, aren't they? You know, remember. So you're a promoter and you've got a load of fighters. So there's a promoter and you've got a load of fighters. You don't want a piece of the pie. You want it all, don't you? Yeah. So them promoters, they want it all, don't they? And he wants it all. So they're never going to work with each other because someone's going to have to take a back seat and not take as much as the other. So there's none of that now because they go into Saudi and whatever they're getting, everyone's happy.
What do you think of boxer Ben Shalom?
Great. So what's got to happen in boxing is you've got Eddie Hearn and you've got Frank Warren. So every now and again, you need somebody else coming through. You know, you need someone coming through underneath just to keep them on the toes. You know, Frank Warren's one of the oldest promoters in England, and he knows what he's doing. And Eddie Hearn's dad was a great promoter, so they know what they're doing. So you need Ben Shalom to come through, and Ben Shalom's kind of more Manchester, innit?
Yeah, he's all right, Ben.
Yeah, he's great.
Our Ben's all right. Yeah. You're all right, you are, Ben.
Yeah, of course he's great because Ben Shalom's doing a lot for the Manchester fighters.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like Eddie Hearn's got a mixed bag. He's got fighters all over the world, and Frank Warren's got. But Ben Shalom's bringing the Manchester fighters through, and he's bringing the good fights back to Manchester and Manchester's having a resurgence in boxing at the minute.
Definitely.
You know,
definitely.
We kind of went a little bit quiet after Ricky.
Yeah.
You know, it went a bit quiet, but then all of a sudden now it's coming back again now. You know,
who's your favourite heavyweight?
got to be Tyson Fury. Got to be Tyson Fury. Because not just favourite, he's from Manchester.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just, you know, we've got to support our own, haven't we?
Definitely.
You know, Tyson Fury's brought big time heavyweight boxing back, hasn't he? Whether you love him or you hate him.
He's such a character, isn't he?
Oh, of course he's, yeah, and he's brought it back, hasn't he? Because with Tyson Fury, you don't know what you're going to get. Do you? You never know what you're going to get, you know, at the press conferences, you know, you don't know what's going to happen. And that's what intrigues a lot of people, isn't it? That's what...
Definitely.
You know, he's a great fighter. He's number one in the world. He's the best heavyweight out there at the minute. But he's like a showman as well, isn't he? You know, he gives boxing fans what they want.
Why not?
Exactly.
You know, he has to be real, doesn't he? He has to be himself.
People like that. I mean, you've got Anthony Joshua, who's a little bit more kind of reserved, innit? But Tyson Fury makes up for that, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? So now that the promoters are working together, it can only be a great thing for boxing.
Do you think it's going to happen? AJ and Tyson.
It'll have to happen.
Who do you have?
Well,
who would you put your money on?
I'd like to see Tyson Fury in his next fight with Usyk and see how he does. Because it's probably Tyson's hardest fight. I think he's going to win, but I think it'll be his hardest fight. And you know it's going to be... Tyson Fury knows it's going to be his hardest fight because look at the shape of him now.
Definitely.
He ain't messing, is he?
No.
You know, you can actually see that, can't you? So, and I think when you fight, when you know you've got a real fight and you're fighting somebody like when he fought Deontay Wilder, he knew he was a great puncher, he knew he was an hard puncher, and it kind of makes you a bit more focused. And, you know, the way his camp's going at the minute, Tyson, he's got his dad back involved, which can't be a bad thing. It's got to be a good thing, and because he likes mayhem, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he enjoys that mayhem. It was like with Rick. You know, Rick's changing rooms, it used to be like a fucking nightclub. You know, some fighters are like that. Some fighters like that mayhem. Whereas Brian Rose used to like to be quiet and on his own. So
What's your view of women boxing?
I think it's great. It's great. You know, power to them. You know what I mean? You know, they're coming right to the front now and they're doing really well with it.
Definitely. Are you friends with Jane Couch?
Yeah.
I had her on the first guest.
Yeah, well,
and the reason I had her on the first is because when I come out of jail and I was doing all this transformation, she was the first person to interview me.
Yeah. Well, me and Barclay Jammer used to do a podcast years ago called The Main Event Boxing Show. And she was on that. And I think she was living in Bristol at the time. And she drove all the way from Bristol to come and do this boxing show. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Jane Couch was the first woman boxer, wasn't she, really?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, she was living on... They had her sleeping on casino floors, didn't they? Never even got her a room when she was fighting for world titles and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Took the piss out of her, but she was a breakthrough. She's a pioneer for...
Yeah, she's of course. And that doesn't get mentioned enough, what she's done for the sport of boxing. And I don't think we're far away from having women training women.
Yeah.
I don't think we're far away from that, mate. You know what I mean? I think that's coming soon. And I don't think we're far away from the first full women's boxing show.
Yeah, that's definitely coming.
You know, that's coming.
What do you think of Savannah Marshall?
It's great.
What do you think of her going over to MMA?
Well, it's a fucking different sport. Do you know what I mean? That MMA is different. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, haven't I? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have with Rampage.
Yeah, I'm there watching it, aren't I? And like, when I first went over there, I never realised how tough it was and how hard it is, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, elbows, you know, everything, it's horrendous, you know, when they're actually in there fighting, like, you know what I mean? And so I've had a big insight of it, and it's a different animal, that cage fighting, you know what I mean? You can be a great stand-up You know, if you can stand up and box, it helps you out a lot. But that grappling and all that, you know what I mean?
Have you done any with Rampage?
Have I fought?
Bobby, you've come over in this nice jacket. That's a bit of me, that. Can you tell me a bit about that jacket?
Yeah, it's Bear at the Jackson podcast. They do a podcast over in America with Rampage, and this is all their stuff. This is all I've got now, because when I was over last time, them lads look after me like they treat me with so much respect and that. And I came home and I had to buy 3 suitcases to bring it all home.
Yeah. That is definitely a bit of me.
Well, I seen you with a similar jacket on, and I thought I'll have to make the effort today, because you know what I mean. And
you thought you'd have to go one above, yeah?
Well, I didn't think I was going one above, but
my one was from TK Maxx, so.
Ah, right, okay.
So, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
But this is Jackson. They do a clothing range and they do a jewellery range, and if you have a look at the podcast, what they do, the podcast is massive now. It's huge, you know what I mean? Millions and millions of views, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, they're doing great things, you know what I mean? What? So Bear and Rampage and Vinny and all the other lads.
Rampage, you're always invited to come on the D-Wing.
Yeah, I'll come on the D-Wing and speak to the lads.
Brian Rose,
let's
talk about this chicken sandwich.
Yeah, what I want to know is, when you said you met him somewhere, I'm just hoping he wasn't in camp and he wasn't dieting.
I don't know.
And I'd like to know what he was doing in Charlton.
And it's mad because one of my schoolmates owned a food shop, Manzor.
Yeah, he'll have known somebody who knows somebody, won't he? You know what I mean?
Moving on, what do you think about the Michael Gomez fight at the weekend? Obviously, I was gifted this.
Yeah. Well, I watched him and I thought, you know what? These young fighters, the dads are fighters. So this is my opinion. When they turn professional, they've already got a big weight on the shoulders. And it don't matter who you are, but people are going to expect them to fight like the dad and be as good as the dad. And that's going to take time. Do you know what I mean? And they have to kind of shrug that off.
Yeah.
And they have to get rid of that stigma and come out as they are, who they are.
It's like a caterpillar changing into a butterfly.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what he's done. You know, Michael Gomez. Because remember, I trained his dad for a number of years, Mike Gomez. And young Michael was always in the gym and all that. And Michael was a very quiet kid, you know what I mean? But he ain't quiet no more, is he?
No, he's grown into that.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that young Michael Gomez Jr. is a great fighter in his own right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's been steered that way. And he's been steered that way by Kevin Marie, who's his manager. And Kevin Marie was his father's manager.
Yeah.
So he's got a great team round him. I mean, Marvin Greaves is a good coach, and he's got Kevin Marie, who's a good manager. So he's got this good team round him. And if you're a young fighter, you need that team round you.
Yeah.
You know, you need to trust the trainer and the manager. You know,
Michael Gomez is an angel.
Yeah, great
He's
fighter.
So kind. He does a lot for the kids in the community.
Yeah.
He goes and embraces everybody. He doesn't let it go to his head.
But then when he gets in the ring, he's a different fighter. He's a different person.
A different man, isn't he?
He's that, like, come on, let's go. You know, you can see him at the press conference. So he's very comfortable now in his own skin, isn't he? That's what I'm saying. That's what you're looking for with these fighters. You know, you want them to have that confidence. And some fighters are naturally quiet. Michael was naturally quiet. Now he's not.
Yeah.
And he backs it up now because, I mean, that wasn't an easy fight the other night.
It wasn't.
That was a tough fight, you know.
But he worked his socks off in camp.
Yeah. Like I say, he works with Marvin Greaves and it's great. If you've got a good team round you, you're winning. You know, it's great. You know?
But at the end of the day, it's only him that gets in the ring, innit?
Listen. You know, as a coach, all the lads I've ever coached, I can only make them bullets. They've got to fire them.
Yeah. Let's not talk about bullets. You know, I've been shot, and
Well-
you've got a little bit of a past in the criminal lifestyle. That's what I'm getting back to now. Tell me a little bit about you. Yeah, you've been on holiday, haven't you? Not just to America.
Well, what happened was, we've been involved in criminality, haven't we? Because obviously, when you was a boxer,
You was a criminal.
you obviously became, in the old days, when I was, when I finished boxing, let's say when you could stand on your own 2 feet, and you knew you could handle yourself, you obviously became, when you finished boxing, you got not dragged in, because I've never done anything I don't want to do. Everything I've ever done, I've gone headlong in front of it and I've done it myself, you know what I mean? No one's ever forced me into doing anything. But you kind of go into a bit of collecting money and a bit of debt collecting, and then it escalates and it escalates, and before you know where you are, you're involved in criminality, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the top and bottom of it, you know what I mean? But, when I started being a serious boxing coach, I left all that behind and kind of made that change,
When did you leave it all behind?
2000, the year 2000.
So you've been legit for
24 years.
24 years.
Yeah. I mean, remember this, though, when I was involved in criminality, there was no mobile phones. There was no cameras. I think fucking Crime Watch had only just started. You know what I mean? And all Crime Watch did was educate everybody, didn't it?
I've been featured on Crime Watch.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course you have.
For the bad and for the good.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I mean, listen, we've changed our lives, haven't we? We've turned our lives around, haven't we? And I think being involved in criminality, we've walked in them shoes, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've walked in them shoes. We know what it's like.
That's why we're the ones to deliver it to the youngsters.
Listen, we know what it's like to be sat in that cell saying your fucking prayers, don't we?
I know that what it's like to
we've all got
we've got a courtroom saying my prayers.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being in court myself for armed robbery, arson with intent to endanger life. Believe it or not, theft of a van. Because when you took them vans, you got charged with theft of the van, didn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I've been sat in that, sat in that cell downstairs, and my barrister said, listen, this goes the wrong way up there. That's, he's 25 years here. You know what I mean? So we know what it's like, don't we?
Yeah.
We know what it's like to have them cold shivers up your back.
That's why I tell all the young kids, you have to be lucky every day as a criminal, where the police only have to be lucky once.
Yeah. And you know what? I look at it now and I can't fucking believe how easy they're making it for the police.
But crime is a business.
Everything now is like you watch, you fucking, your money, and I mean, they flaunt it, don't they? I mean, when I was at it, I used to fucking hide it. I didn't want no one to know. But now, I mean, I remember somebody who I looked up to saying to me when I was at it, and he went, listen, an old van and a bit of rented accommodation never hurt anybody. Now, big cars.
Big cars.
Like Facebook and Instagram, everyone's got wads of money out, and I look at it and I think, you're making the police's job so fucking easy.
But there's no listening, there's no telling them, is there?
Because, you know what, and I firmly believe this about social media, I think it's made kids grow up too quick.
Definitely.
They see so much stuff, and I think they see so much stuff from America, that they think that's the way forward.
Follow the culture.
And it's such a shame, it's such a shame. I mean, it was different for us because, we had no option apart from go to the youth club or, going to the boxing gym or playing football. That's all there was. It's different now. It's different. Even the fucking video games are teaching you what to do and what not to do. And I think, whereas us growing up, we went through the ranks.
Definitely.
We started off going through the ranks, to where we got to, whereas these kids now are going straight in at the top.
Yeah, at least I think they are.
Yeah.
They all think the top boy, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I think these kids are growing up too quick. And this social media is a great tool for, you know, but it can be a bad thing, can't it? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you've got 9 and 10, 11-year-old kids now looking at what's going on and thinking that that's them. And, you know, this thing with the knives drives me round the bend.
Yeah, I'm an advocate for knife crime.
Yeah,
I've worked with over 300,000 kids over the years.
Yeah,
I mean, I've collected, last week I collected two weapons. The week before I collected 6. Yeah. It's just never ended.
I mean, it's even in Blackpool now, believe it or not. You know, even fucking Blackpool's such a little place.
I'm in Blackpool on Thursday.
Are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Doing a little talk.
Oh, where?
I can't really say.
Oh, right, okay.
Nah, at a construction place. You know the people.
Danny Rosser?
Yeah.
All right, I'm all right, Danny. I've not fell out with Danny Rosser.
No, but I just didn't want to...
All right, okay.
Not because of anything. I just
didn't
want to name him on there, but it's all right.
Cut it out then.
Yeah, no, keep it in there.
Sorry, Danny.
He honestly cares about kids.
Yeah, of course it does. But listen, somebody has to. Because let me tell you, and I'm not going to get political, but these fucking government, fucking hate government and politicians. They do absolutely nothing for the youth.
You know why? Because crime is a business. They profit off it.
Yeah, of course they do.
You know, the workshops, everything's assembled for these big organisations, these big supermarkets, these big retail chains, these sofa companies.
Yeah.
Do you know? We always have money to send our kids to jail and to keep them there for a life sentence, but we can't build youth clubs.
Well, look at us when we was young. There was youth clubs everywhere. And they packed them in. Now, remember, you know, like, let's get back to Cheetham Hill and Moss Side and all that, because when we all knew each other, when we was all boxing, and, you know, like sometimes we'd be boxing in Moss Side or sometimes we'd be boxing in Cheetham Hill, we all knew each other then. But then, when we all boxed, well, I boxed in school. So we went to different schools boxing and all that. Then the government broke that down. So then they alienated everybody. Nobody knew each other. Like,
put a divide between everybody.
Yeah, they put a divide, and that's what these fuckers wanted to do. This is what they want us all to be fighting amongst ourselves while they're all making loads of money. Do you know what I mean? And it takes people like you and everybody else.
And yourself, because you're doing it, aren't you?
Yeah, it takes people like, you know, we know what's wrong. You're not telling me that they don't know what's wrong. And they know how to put it right. You know, all this money they're giving away, put it back into the youth, into the kids.
They're not going to do that.
They're not going to do it, and it's sickening, innit? You know what I mean?
They'd rather spend it on expenditure, expenses and things like that.
You know what? I've never voted in my life, and I never will, because I don't trust any politician.
They're all the same.
I don't trust them. Politicians, people in government, I don't trust any of them. I think none of them do any good whatsoever. And I think there's a bit of an awakening and people are getting on it now.
Yeah, definitely.
People are getting on it and they're knowing, listen, these fuckers have been leading us by the nose for years and years and years. Not letting you have any money, taking your money off you with taxes and stuff like that. And it's got to stop.
Definitely.
Something has to stop. Something has to give. Do you know what I mean?
Don't vote Conservative. Don't vote Labour. Don't vote nobody.
Don't vote nobody. Vote for yourself. That's it. But, you know, it's broke down, hasn't it? Society's broke down with the kids now. The kids are left to do what they want and the kids are getting in trouble. And, you know, young kids are killing each other.
Yeah, definitely.
And the kids that die, their family's ruined. The kids that do the killing, their family's ruined.
And the
community's fucked. You know what I mean? It needs changing, doesn't it? It needs
put down the knives, put down the guns.
Yeah.
Spread love, not war.
Exactly.
Bobby, I believe you've got a few birds.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I've got, at this moment in time, I've probably got about 250.
Fucking hell. More than me.
Yeah, every one of them's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have ugly birds. They're all, yeah.
Can you elaborate on it?
Yeah, well, my pigeons.
But where are they now?
They're at home now. I brought them up on the way down. I've let them go out of the back of the car, and hopefully they've got home.
Would they be at home already?
Fucking better I'd be.
What if they're not? Are they grounded?
Yeah, no, they'll be home, mate. They'll be home. I've got cameras on my lofts and all that, so I can have a look. But they'll all be. It's all sophisticated. It's all cameras and stuff. But that's been my passion, pigeon racing.
Does your partner get a bit jealous of the pigeons?
No. She's the most beautiful bird I've got.
You little
Shannon's the most.
You little smooth talker.
Yeah, Shannon's the most beautiful girl I've got.
So when are you gonna? When are you gonna open your own gym again?
I'm not.
You know.
No. I've had 3, and gyms are a young man's game. You know what I mean? I'm working out at Brian's gym, and it's great because, I can do my classes and my one-to-ones and my personal training and teaching the pros and training Brian, and then I can go home. When you've got a gym, there's none of that going on. I mean, I ended up with owning Better Bodies, what used to belong to Kerry Kay's. I owned that, and the boxing gym at the back, I had it all. And then I got rid of it, obviously, when I moved up to Blackpool. I met Sharon and moved up to Blackpool, you know what I mean?
Have you seen much of Kerry Case? Do you still see him?
I see him. I saw him in Saudi. Me and Kerry, I've always been great friends. We're great friends, me and Kerry. And the last time I saw him was in Saudi at the Tyson Fury fight when he fought Ngannou. And it was great to see him, but Kerry lives in Point and wherever he lives, and I live in Blackpool, so, we don't... I see Kerry more on the TV now doing the cuts, you know what I mean?
I seen him a couple of weeks ago. He didn't see me, but I seen him. Yeah. I was ringside at the Wardley Clark fight. Yeah. And he was doing a corner there.
Yeah. Well, he's a cutsman, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a very good cutsman as well.
Yeah, but you don't really see much of him no more. But at the big places,
a cutsman, you see him in the corner and then back in the changing room. That's it, you know what I mean? It's you see him in the corner and then back in the changing room, you know what I mean? But my pigeons, that's my passion, apart from boxing. But
birds used to be my passions, but not the ones with feathers.
Yeah, well, that's it. You see, it's different for me.
They've got me in a lot of trouble, them birds.
Did that? Yeah.
More than your pigeons have got you in.
No, my pigeons, they're no trouble pigeons.
So how's family life? How do you?
Everything's great.
Grandkids okay?
Yeah, my daughter Chelsea was up in Blackpool on Sunday, you know what I mean? So I travelled down to Manchester to obviously see our auntie and that, you know what I mean? All the kids are down there. So, I'm very lucky. I'm proud of all my kids, you know what I mean? And all my grandkids and my 2 great grandkids, you know what I mean? I'm proud of I'm really lucky, I've led a charmed life. Do you know what I mean? And I get
Big up Anthony.
Yeah.
Me and you had plenty of jokes.
Yeah.
We'll keep it there.
Yeah, just keep it there, don't say anything.
I seen him a few months ago at a boxing show in Oldham.
Yeah.
Who
was he watching there? Can you remember?
I think he was watching Billy Denise.
Oh, yeah, Billy Denise, yeah.
What do you think of Billy?
Another good fighter. I mean, they've all that made that transition and they've gone to Joe Gallagher's. It's great, innit? Because Joe Gallagher now has reopened the Champs Camp.
Yeah. He's brought life back to my side.
Yeah, of course
he brought it back. Have you seen the camp? Have you seen the stable of fighters he's got?
Great. Yeah, I mean, all the fighters that was at the Phoenix camp are all with so I'll tell you the funny story. We was sparring at the Champs camp, and I took Brian over to spar. So Brian's from Blackpool, don't you? So we took him to the Notorious side, and Brian was on his phone in the back of the car, chatting away. And Morris Core comes sneaking up. And he went, "Hey!" And Brian threw his phone out the car. Morris Core jumped on him, from outside the car.
I don't really.
Right, okay. Well, that's politics. I'm not involved in.
But just keep that in.
Yeah.
I've got...
You know what I mean? So
not everybody gets on, do they?
No. Well, listen, we're all men, aren't we?
Yeah, but anybody, we mentioned
so we're all men, aren't we? So at some point in our lives, we're going to come into conflict because we're all men that stand on our own 2 feet, aren't we? So I think the older you get, I think you've for me, it don't really matter that much anymore, you know. And whatever, you know, let's not get involved in it, the politics and stuff. Yeah. Especially as we've already lived through it once.
You got to go through it to grow through it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's like what I said to you. Who do you think that a young lad or a young girl's going to listen to? You? Or someone who's just walked out of college?
I hope so.
You?
I invited a lad to come and watch us film this evening, but he had other prior engagements. Yeah. But I met him last week for the first time, and he's a good kid. I'm going to be
good. I mean, I'm not going to say his name, but I train a kid in Blackpool now who's, you know, I've got high hopes for him. Yeah. And I think he's going to be really, really good.
But that's what it is. It's either he listens to you or
he
follows his friends, isn't it?
Yeah. See, that's the problem. The problem you've got with this social media now. I mean, as a boxing coach as well, believe it or not, you can get kids coming to you who want to train with you, and they've got 5,000 followers telling them they're great, and they're not. You get a kid. So kids come in the gym now, and you know they think they're great, and they're not. You're thinking, fucking hell, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But he's got a load of people that don't know what they're on about telling him he's great.
You can't give people false hope, could you?
No, not in boxing. You know why? Because he's saying in boxing, isn't there? In that ring, the truth will always find you. And it will. You know what I mean? You know, I say to, you know, when a kid comes to the gym and he wants to be a pro and stuff like that, you know, he's been a good amateur and everything. I mean, you do understand what it entails, don't you? And you go, well, I said, well, listen, so I'm going to ask you to train for 10 weeks before you fight. And this is what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to put you through it every day. So you're going home physically and mentally tired every day. I'm going to tell you you can't eat certain foods. So you've got to deprive yourself from everything what's good. Even towards the end, you've got to deprive yourself from sex. And you know what your reward is for that, don't you? Someone's going to get in the face and try and knock you unconscious. That's your reward. You know what I mean?
What do you think of the current cruiserweights, like heavyweights, Jack Masses? Do you think people are avoiding Jack?
Well, I obviously I trained Jack, didn't I, from the start of his career. And you know, Jack's a murderous puncher.
Yeah, I know.
He's a murderous puncher. But Jack's career stalled a little bit because of one reason or another. Yeah. So it stalled a little bit. Now he's gone to Joe Gallagher. Great. That, you know, if Joe Gallagher can't make you into what you want to be, I don't think anybody can. Yeah. You know, Joe's one of the best trainers out there.
Best trainer in the world, didn't he? One of them.
Yeah, well, he's just been voted Ring Magazine trainer, hasn't he, and all that. I mean, Joe Gallagher's a great trainer. You know, he's probably one of the best trainers ever come out of Manchester.
Out of England.
Out of England, you know, wherever you can say in the world if you want, you know what I mean? And no one's going to say not, you're not, you know what I mean? Joe was a great coach, you know what I mean? And Jack's gone there. So if Jack can't make it with Joe Gallagher, he's not going to make it anywhere.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of time for Jack.
Yeah, Jack's a great kid.
Such a lovely guy.
From the word go, he trained with me. He had all his fights. He was undefeated when me and Jack. But I went to Blackpool, didn't I? Do you know what I mean? So, and Jack stayed here training, you know. And then there's been a bit of a change and all that, and a lot of the fighters have left and they've gone to Joe Gallagher. They couldn't have gone to anyone better.
Yeah,
you know,
he was lucky that he took the one, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's a bit choosy who he takes on, isn't it, Joe?
Well, he obviously knows.
He knows.
You know, Joe knows the quality, and Joe won't take somebody on if he don't think he's going to make something with him. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, look what he's done with the likes of Crawler and the Smith brothers, Liam Smith and Paul Smith and Callum Smith. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, and even Alfie Burton and them. You know what I mean? Joe gets the best out of kids. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Coley's just landed there, isn't he?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, you know, we've got to wait and see, haven't we? But how can you not? You know, Lawrence Coley and Joe Gallagher.
Yeah.
You know, how can you not, you know, the best at that and the best at this gone together? It's got to work, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, sometimes it doesn't, because sometimes you get kids and it doesn't gel.
I think that new weight has gone up to the Bridger weight. I think that'll help him because he is a natural heavyweight, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like Jack's a natural heavyweight,
Yeah,
isn't he?
well, Jack's one of them kids that was in between, wasn't he? But he punches like an heavyweight, you know what I mean? And when he fought Josie Parker, he put up a great show, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, and everyone thought, oh, he'll get beat here, you know what I mean? But he didn't, did he? You know what I mean? But it's that, you know, with boxers and that, they have to trust you. Because you ask a fighter to give you 100%, you've got to give them 100%.
Definitely.
Like I've always done. I mean, they've all lived with me. You know, Brian Rose has lived with me for, you know, the day I met Brian Rose at Auntie Farnell's gym. And the day I met Brian Rose, he moved in with my family.
It's mad, that, isn't it?
Yeah, he moved.
That's what happens in boxing circles,
Yeah,
though, isn't it? Or it did do then.
I mean,
before all the money was involved.
You know, being a coach and a boxer, don't take this the wrong way, it's very intimate, because you've got to know everything about that fighter.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to ask him to get in that ring and do things that he finds hard to do. I'm going to teach him to do things. And sometimes you're teaching a boxer to do something and he's not getting it right and he's getting hit. And they've got to trust you that you're telling him to do it right. You know what I mean? If there's no trust, there's nothing.
Definitely. A lot of people don't realise boxers, every time they step in the ring for our entertainment, they risk their life.
Well, you know what a fighter does, don't you? He bears his soul to the world.
Definitely.
He goes, this is me. You know, he stands up there and he fights in front of the world. You know what I mean? And he's saying to everybody, this is me. You know, it's one of the most rewarding sports, but it's the toughest sport there is.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, anywhere where you're combat fighting in front of loads of people, you're bearing your soul to the world. You're saying, this is me. You know.
Can I ask you about, speaking about social media and this matchup with Jake Paul? It is Jake Paul.
Yeah, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
What do you think of that?
I don't think it's going to happen.
You know something?
I don't think it's going to happen. I think something's going to happen and the fight's not going to happen.
I believed it was an advertisement plot, like the Snoop Dogg when they said he give up smoking.
Yeah. Well, let's look at it. And I mean, by all intents and purposes, Jake Paul has not been able to sell the last couple of fights, tickets and that. So he's needed a big name. So I think he's gone for this. He said Mike Tyson and all right, they look like they're going to be fighting. But I mean, have you seen the rules for the fight?
No.
So the rules for the fight is it's not a real fight because there's no judges, and there's going to be no decision.
It's not a fight then, is it?
No. And there's no judges, there's no decision. They're boxing with big gloves on. It's not. I don't think it's going to happen.
It's not even an exhibition, then, is it? Really?
No. I think if somebody lands a lucky punch and knocks one of the others out, all well and good. But I'm going to speak from a coach's point of view now. No matter what you think about Jake Paul, he's a strong, fit man.
Younger man as well.
Younger man. And whatever you think about Mike Tyson, we haven't got to get carried away with the Tyson that we knew.
Yeah.
The Tyson that we knew, Jake Paul wouldn't be able to fucking tie his shoelaces. You know that, and we know that.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. And you're not telling me that Mike Tyson can relive that. Because he can't.
No.
It's impossible. Time waits for no man. Time will wait for no man. So, from a coach's point of view, I'd worry for Mike Tyson. because I'm looking at it in the real time now. Like I said, Mike Tyson was probably the greatest heavyweight that ever lived. One of the greatest heavyweights that ever lived. And I don't think that the powers that be will give him a license to fight.
All right, I'm glad we got your opinion. You're the man in the know.
I don't think that the fight. I think it'll be an occasion. If it does happen, it'll be an occasion, a sporting occasion. But it's certainly not going to be a fight because there's no decision.
Yeah.
You know, if there's no decision, it means it's not a fight.
Yeah.
Simple, you know what I mean?
We're going to round it off in the next couple of minutes. Is there anything you want to say? Is there any shout outs you want to give?
No.
Rampage Jackson, we hope to see you on there.
Yeah.
Big man. I'm the big man around there.
I just want to thank Bear for giving me this.
Yeah,
all the clothes he looked after me when I was in California.
Brian, good luck with the fight.
It looks like I might not be able to get out of here with this on because everyone's staring at my jacket.
Rampage, good luck with the fight.
Podcast and
Jackson podcast, everybody. The Rimmer family.
Yeah.
I know a lot of yous.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Can I say thanks to Michael Gomez, the twins, Base Security for gifting me this and for everything that you do for me. Thanks to Buzzrocks. I didn't get a chance to pick up no stuff today. But just thanks for everybody watching. Thanks for the supporting. Thanks for Lenny, the coffee and wine shop, which is also a florist. Thanks to Ash, who was the inventor. Thanks to Reese. Thanks to Mike. We'll cut that bit out though, lads. I'm only joking. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for asking me, mate. And anytime you want me to come back, I'll come back.
Thanks. Bring Rampage with you.
Okay. I will when he can.